Hello. It's good to see everybody coming in. Welcome, Tracy. Where'd you hear about me? TikTok? Like how I know you're new, but like how'd you find out? Oh, Catherine. I love Catherine. Hi, Liz. How are you? That is so sweet of her to pass my name on to you. Hold on one second while I'm. Hey, Brandy. I'm bringing up Patreon on my computer. What I do is I have another account that I log into, and I'm able to see better over here what comments are and stuff. So, but I need to open it up. And then mute it. Hey, Emma, how are you? She's good-ish. For those of you who don't know, I made a major boo-boo the other day, and I sliced my thumb. I was cutting the spines off of some books. I pulled my thumb away from the machine, and when I did, I nicked here, but on this thumb, the blade. And basically what it did is it took off a chunk of my nail all the way down to skin, and then a bit of a chunk off of the top of my finger. So she's not cute. She's really gross. But at least there's no pain unless I smack it on something. There's no pain. And I haven't had to take any meds other than when I first came home the other day. This is last Wednesday. I had some extra strength Tylenol and some oxycodone, which helped me sleep. But that was it. Like the next day, I took some of the extra strength Tylenol, and then I was good. So, yay. I like to think it's because there were so many of y'all thinking about me and praying and sending good thoughts. So if that was you at all, thank you. I appreciate it. Means a lot. Means a lot. So I want to see, how can I make this work? My computer monitor is right here. Okay, very good. So we're going back to OG Mental Health Monday for a few reasons. First of all, because very selfishly, it helps me process what's going on with me when I talk to you guys about stuff. And I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get into this, because there's actually a part of what we're going to talk about that is very much like talk to other people. So I'll get into that in a little bit, but the other reason is that I have felt disconnected from everything and everyone lately, and I know that that has a lot to do with myself. Like, I know that I've put myself in that position. Cat fur in my mouth. Cat fur. And I want to work through that in a positive way. So why not share that that journey with you all so that you can learn from it too. Hopefully you can learn from it too. So here we are. So today I wanted to talk about imposter syndrome. One of my very good friends goes live over on Whatnot every Monday morning. And she does kind of a mental health Monday like I do. I think she likes to call it like a mindset Monday, but it's all the same kind of thing. And today she was talking a bit about imposter syndrome, because we all suffer from it. We all deal with it. And she got me thinking about the other stuff that's been going on and ways they've been feeling and how it all kind of stacks onto each other, how it all kind of works together. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that and share some about that in hopes that it'll help you as well. I'm going to get back, I need to get back into my mental health journal. I haven't been doing any of that stuff. And despite being down a thumb, my right thumb, um, I need to get back into crafting and stop worrying so much about my space. And I'll show you that today too. I'll show you where we're at with that. You can see a little bit behind me, but yeah, I'll show it to you. So anyway, does anybody know what imposter syndrome is, or has anybody felt imposter syndrome before? When I say that, do you go, I don't know what that is? Or do you go, oh yeah, I totally have been there? And it could be at work, it could be with crafting, it could be in any arena. It could be just like you feel like you're a crappy mom, for example. I know, right, Emma? I know, it's like Melissa, but not really Melissa Packer. Yeah. So, imposter syndrome is basically an intense, persistent feeling of self doubt and feeling like a fraud despite having clear evidence to the contrary. And the thing that sucks about it is that it basically kills decision making speed because you second guess everything. When you're confident, you can just do the thing, whatever the thing is, you can just do it because you know you can do it and you do it well. But imposter syndrome makes you feel like, well, should I do this? Or maybe I should do that? Or what are people going to think if I do that? And so you spend more time thinking about the thing than actually doing the thing. And in a lot of cases, think you spend more time thinking about the thing than it would even take to just do the thing. And I'm not talking about you're looking at your spread and you're going, should I put this sticker? Should I not put this sticker? Because unless you're thinking about that in terms of what other people are going to think, not the same thing. But it might be for you. It just, it just kind of depends. So let me give you an example. You host a dinner party. You invite friends over. You make everything from scratch using favorite family recipes that you've made a million times and that your mother made and your grandmother made. And your guests rave about every dish that you serve. And one even says, you should open a catering business because you're so gifted in the kitchen. What's your reaction? Brandy, I agree. I agree. The one thing you will hear me say about myself, positive, is that I'm a good teacher. That was my career. Um, I made it my business to be a good teacher. I made it my business to continue to learn and grow so that I had more and more to give to my students every year. I'm good at it. But that doesn't mean that I didn't have those moments then too. Because all you need is one person who you even a little bit look up to, go, when you tell them something or when you show them something or whatever. All you need is one little askew thought or look to tank how you feel. And that's fairly normal, especially if you already have trauma or self-esteem problems and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying, please understand, I am not saying that any of this is bad or that you're a bad person or like, it just this simply is. Okay. And when I'm talking about all of this stuff, no, I'm in all of this. Like this is all me. So, all right. So think about your reaction to the dinner party. Is it, wow, that really went well. I'm so grateful. Everybody enjoyed themselves. And yeah, I made a really good meal. More than likely, not. More than likely, you're thinking, well, they're my friends, so they have to say supportive things, or it's not me, it's the recipes. I just do what they say to do. Or clearly these people haven't had much good food lately and they'd like anything new. Or they are just happy because they didn't have to cook. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much um, other stuff that we attribute our success to that even when all evidence, when everything is presented to you, all the facts are presented to you, proving that you did a good job, you're still there going, nah, I don't believe it. Why did they say it? Yeah. What are they trying to get out of me? Are they crazy? Did they all take some good drugs before they, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was their motivation? Yeah, totally. I totally get that. I totally get that. And is any of that fair? Is it fair to you? Is it fair to those folks? No, no, it's not fair. But we don't think about that. We certainly don't think about being fair or kind to ourselves because that's not something we were ever taught to do. And if you were, and if you are, good for you. You are within the minority. You are within the few people few women, because let's be honest, the few women who are able to acknowledge that they do have strengths and they're confident in those strengths. And I'm talking about across the board. I can tell you I'm a good teacher. And I have lots of evidence to prove that. Not just test scores and all that, but I have former students that I had 20 years ago that still keep in touch with me. And not because I chase after them, but because they care about me and they appreciate my presence in their life. I don't know why. Self-deprecation. That's another problem. So let's talk about what this can look like because there's different kinds of imposter syndrome. And there's things that like perfectionism, for example, we talk about perfectionism. That is a form of imposter syndrome. How so? Well, you demand, and by you I mean me, I will demand flawless work of myself, even over something new. And I will feel like a failure over minor mistakes, even when it's something new. And something I absolutely do is I will point the flaws out to other people when they compliment me. So think about that in terms of an artist who sells their work. I go to a show. Now, I was selling jewelry at the time, but just because this is right here, we'll pretend I made this cup, whatever. I made this cup. And 15 different people come into my booth during the day and they rave about this cup, how cute it is, how it's actually Christmas, obviously, but around here we don't care. How cute it is, how well made it is, how perfectly straight the lines are, like whatever they'll say. And I could sell 50 of them. But what I will do is I will find the one place where I made a mistake. And let's say just here, well, but there's a pink straw. The pink straw doesn't really go. So I'm sorry. Like I will apologize for the flaw that I see that nobody else sees because they don't have, like when it comes to jewelry, y'all don't have the same eye that I do because I made the piece. So I know where I struggled. Should I be pointing that out to anybody? No, absolutely not. But I do that because I can't take a compliment well. And I don't give myself credit um, for knowing what I know and the skills that I've learned. I've been making jewelry, soldering jewelry for well over a decade, since 2010, 2009, 2010. I should know what I'm doing, right? If I've been doing it that long. Still make mistakes. That's normal. Everybody does. But I'm the first person to point them out to other people. They're standing there holding it saying, "I want to buy this." And I'm like, "Oh, did you notice this problem right here?" Of course they didn't. Or if they did, they went, "Well, it's handmade," you know? So that's perfectionism. Um, yes. Okay. So I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to address that. You're not the only one. That is very common for women, especially. We are not, we were taught, especially if you're Gen X or older. It's getting better, I think, it got a little bit better for millennials, and I think it's getting better with younger kids. But we were taught, Gen X at least was taught, you're better seen than heard. You're not really allowed to have an opinion. Um, and you need to be humble. You need to be a good girl, and you need to be humble and appreciative, and you don't deserve anything. There's nothing that you could ever possibly really truly deserve. You should be happy with whatever little nugget you can get. Does that sound about right? You should look for a man who's going to support you. And I don't mean in a positive way. I mean support you as in you can't do that yourself because you're just a woman. And yeah, oh, absolutely. Don't show off. It's all there. It's all the same message. It's just how you interpret it and how you took it in. Now, let me ask you a question, Tracy. Do you have any brothers? Two. Were they sent the same messages? Oh my God. Girl, your family big. But were your brothers sent the same messages like don't show off? They were. See, that's abnormal. But let me go back because it also matters. Context also matters. So um without getting too far into it, if you are raised under the heading of Christian, being a true Christian, I can understand where that humble comes from because that's biblical. What I'm thinking more of is the difference between son comes home with a trophy from football, daughter comes home with straight A's on a report card. Very stereotypical, I realize, but go with it. Son gets his trophy put on the mantle or whatever, and it's referred to whenever people come over. They're like, see what see what our son got. Isn't he wonderful? And you're told, well, that's, I mean, good for you, but grades, who cares? Or even, good for you, but we don't brag about those things. Why? Because it might make your brother feel less than, or it might make somebody else feel less than. And God forbid anybody but you feel less than. You see what I'm saying? Like the message is stay humble so that you don't hurt other people's feelings. But in the long run, you are hurting your own feelings. Like that's not okay. I'm not saying your parents are terrible people. I think this is a very common thing, especially for women, but it's not fair either, you know? It's not fair. And it's why so many of us, and when I say us, I mean Gen X especially, it's why so many of us, as we are getting older and getting into 40s, 50s, menopause, that we're getting into a kind of FAFO mode. Where we stop caring so much about what other people think and we just do our thing. Just do our thing. I'm going to show you an example of that in a little bit. Humility was kindness to others. And kindness to others is the most important thing. Not kindness to yourself, not self-love, but to others. And like I said, I'm speaking from my own perspective here. So if you don't align, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not saying, I keep saying you as if like I'm talking to you and I'm not, I'm talking to the general you. Um, I don't want to, I'm not trying to stereotype, I'm not trying to like lay things on people that aren't there, but I do want to make clear points, if that makes sense. All right, so the first type is perfectionism. The second type is the expert. And what I mean by that is, and I do this all the time, you feel like you don't know enough about whatever it is you're trying to do. So let's say you're trying to um, make a new kind of journal. You saw somebody make it, and now you're trying to make it too, and you're following, a tutorial or whatever. But you stop at some point and go, I don't know enough about whatever this is. Maybe it's sewing in a signature. I don't know enough about sewing in a signature. So I'm going to go and do some more research so I feel more ready. And you research and you research and you watch videos and you watch more videos. And at some point, videos start like fusing together in your mind and maybe even start contradicting each other. Like I've had that so many times. And you never feel ready because you've overloaded yourself with all of these other ideas now and you don't know where to turn or what to do. That's feeling like you need to be an expert. I do that with every freaking thing I do, literally everything. And part of it is ADHD. Part of it for me is wanting to submerge myself in whatever it is and become an expert and really, really know every in and out of everything. But the fact of the matter is, when I've done really well at something, it's not because I over researched. It's because I did the thing. You know, when I first started soldering jewelry, let me grab a piece so you know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, grab this one. Maybe. I can get it out. Nope, that was not good enough. Okay. This one. I'm a little too short to get that. There we go. Okay. I just put that together today. Okay. So soldering is this. So I didn't actually, this was made for me, but I could make it too. This person cut out a piece of sheet metal copper and into the shape of the heart and the crown with the crown attached. And then she soldered this this glass bubble onto it with art underneath it. So all of this here is solder. It's liquid tin, basically. And when I first started, I took a class. Thank you. It is really pretty. I'm really grateful that my mentor, my teacher, made that for me. So it's nice to have a piece of her. When I first started and I took my first class, I took the first class I could find. And I was very cocky about it because I had been selling jewelry for a multi-level marketing company called Jewelcade. And their deal was they were selling squares, glass squares that were soldered around, and they were glass on front, glass on back, and there was art sandwiched between. And then you solder around them to keep the art inside. And they were selling them for like $65 a piece. And I was like, this can't be that hard. Cockiness. This can't be that hard. I'm sure I can learn how to do it. And so I went online and I found a class and I took the first class I could find and I bought all the things they told me to do. And I took the class, did all the things and failed. Could not get it to work the way that it was working on video for these people. And I was so angry. And I worked at it for like a day and then packed all the stuff up, threw it in a drawer, and did not look at it for a year. For a year. And then the only reason, bring that down. The only reason I took it back out and started messing with it was because a friend of mine found somebody else who was teaching it online, and she says she's real good you'll like her and it'll make a lot more sense to you. And I was like, she said, no, I promise, I promise. And I was like, all right. So I found this person, and sure enough, she explained not only which tools to buy, but why those were the tools to buy. And I realized that the other people had no idea what they were talking about. Even though it worked for them on screen, they must not have been using what they sent to me, because or they're just more experienced with it, I guess. I don't know. But as soon as I picked up the new tools that I was told I needed, and I did it exactly the way I was taught, that was it. I was great. Like I was good. And then it just takes practice, like anything else. It takes practice to get really good. But had it not been for my friend saying, hey, I know you were trying to learn this and I found somebody else who's teaching it, I never would have tried it ever again. What's interesting is that when I threw it all into the drawer and I didn't look at it for a year, I didn't do a bunch of research. I didn't, I mean, granted, it was 2008, things are a little bit different now, but I didn't spend days on YouTube or anywhere else looking for more. I was just like, nah, can't do it. And thank goodness that this other teacher was as good at it and as teaching, good at soldering and at teaching as she is, because if she hadn't been, I never would have done it ever again. And all the research in the world, watching people do it over and over again, we're not going to get me there. It was somebody telling me, no, you need these tools. And this is exactly how you use them. And this is why you use them that way, because my brain needs to know why. And that's what did it for me. So that's that expert thing. Like, I wasn't ready. I put it in a drawer. Usually, though, my response would be research the hell out of it, watch 100 different videos, and maybe try it again. So that's another imposter syndrome thing. Another one. This is one of my favorites too. You should be able to master things easily. And if you struggle, it's because you lack talent. Think about that for a moment. You're starting something new, whatever it is. And if you're not an expert at it immediately, if you're not really good at it immediately, then it's because you lack talent. I'll go back to my example that I was just talking about. Did I lack talent? No. I lacked the correct tools. I lacked the correct teaching. I didn't lack talent. But my brain automatically went to, well, you suck. That's that natural genius belief that we have to be really good at it right away, or we lack talent. And the fact of the matter is, I hate to use this example because I don't relate to it, but it's an example that one of my colleagues when I was a teacher used with kids all the time. So I'm going to use it with you. Do you really think that one morning Michael Jordan got up and he was able to hit every free throw he tried? Every single one? No, of course not. He got there because he practiced, and he practiced from the time he was a little boy and could barely reach a small hoop, let alone the big hoop. And he kept at it even though he failed again and again and again. You have to practice. Practice sometimes sucks. Practice is sometimes boring. And this is how he would explain, like, doing your math homework to kids, so please understand. But you can't, some people do have natural talents and they're going to be better than you at whatever, it is that you and they both do. But talent isn't necessarily always natural. it can be learned by practice. That's how I learned how to do what I do. Practice over and over and over and over and over, wasting a whole lot of supplies, getting to where I felt comfortable. The next one is somebody say that they identify with some of these, because man, this one hits me in my gut. It's the soloist. It's the belief that needing assistance means you're incompetent, and so you never ask for help. You can't show weakness by asking for help, and so you don't. Do you see how that feeds into then that the natural genius thing? Like, well, I don't have talent, and I'm not going to ask for help, so I'm just not going to be ever good at whatever it is. You know, they all kind of weave together. That's so me. The last one is being a superhuman. You push yourself harder than anyone else doing what you do to prove that you're strong and that you belong. So, for example, you see your favorite creator, your favorite junk journaler do something, whatever it is. Oh, Paula, I know. I know. My least favorite word on the planet is burden. I don't want to burden anybody. I don't want to be a burden. And I assume that you're going to see me as a burden if I ask for help. Do I see other people as burdens if they ask me for help? No. No. I mean, that was my entire job as a teacher, you know? But for some reason, I have it in my head that I'm going to be a burden if I ask for help on anything. This, in the last few days, has taught me a lot, because I've had to ask for help with things that are kind of, I don't want to say humiliating, but like when I came home with this and the bulb on it was 3 times bigger than this, not to be graphic, but like I had to figure out how to wipe myself after going to the bathroom. Not that you're in there using your thumb, but just like it was in the way because it was so big. And so, like, if anything is going to make you go, damn, that's it. Not being able to do like the most basic function. That's it. Okay, so back to my example. So you see some, like, I'll use Paula as an example. Paula does, if you don't follow her, you should. She's amazing. She's a big fussy cutter. She's big on the fussy cutting, and she does really good stuff. She will sit and she will cut for hours. She will cut images out of books and whatever. And I hate fussy cutting. Hate it. For a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is I have really severe carpal tunnel in both my hands, and so I can't do it for a long period of time. That motion with the scissors over and over aggravates right in here, and it hurts, you know, so that's part of it. The other part of it is that my eyesight's not fantastic. It's fine. Even with glasses, it's fine. But I find myself struggling to see tiny details. So I will accidentally overcut something, and then it's not perfect anymore, right? So what am I supposed to do with this now? So Paula's really good at fussy cutting. If I was in that superhuman mode, I would push myself really, really hard to prove that I'm just as good as Paula, if not better, leading to pain for no reason, leading to frustration with myself, wasted time. I could have just said, hey, Paula, I have this book. Can I send it to you? I'll pay you to cut it for me. I'm not telling anybody they should do that. I'm just kidding. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to prove to anyone. I don't have to prove to Paula that I belong being her friend because I can fussy cut just like she can. That's silly. but that is a trap that some people get into. Brandy, sometime when I ask for help, the person gives an attitude because I haven't told. Yes, that's fair. Um, when I was a little girl and I went and I asked for help with anything of my mother, um, that's where the feeling like a burden thing came from. Like, why can't you just do it yourself? That's where it comes from. At some point, somebody has done that to you. Multiple people probably have done that to you, and you've internalized it. And now you say, why bother? Because everybody's just always going to feel this way. And the truth of the matter is, not everybody's going to feel that way, but you've been hit with that so many times that you've internalized it. We'll trade, Paula. I got you. I got you. Okay. So, 5 main types. Perfectionism, the expert, where you keep hacking at something or keep researching until you feel ready. The natural genius or talent, where you think if you can't do it right away, then you suck. The soloist, not being able to ask for help. And the superhuman, thinking that you have to be better at it than everybody else to prove something. Yes, it is very good. A lot of people put an I in there and then soldiering, and it's just, or soldering is S, solder, SALD, like, it's silly. Anyway, so here's what the cycle looks like for me. If you identify with this, great. If you don't, that's okay. But I want to share with you what the cycle mentally looks like for me so that you can think inside and think like, oh, yeah, I get that. I see that. Because you may be dealing with imposter syndrome and not even know it, not even realize it. Okay, so here's what the cycle looks like for me. I decide to take on a new task, project, whatever. Or it's assigned to me. Somebody says, hey, I need you to do X for me. This is why I don't take custom orders very often, because this is what custom orders do to me. So let's say Paula says, I need you to make me a necklace. And I want this and I want that. And it's all within my realm. It's all things I can do. But immediately, I'm excited about it at first. Yay, I get to do something new. But then as soon as we are done talking, this sense of dread and anxiety hits. Why? Because now I'm worrying about whether or not she's going to like what I do. She has said to me, I trust you. I just want like a couple of these elements, but otherwise I trust you. I know you're good at what you do, blah, blah, blah. But I don't trust myself. And I worry, is she going to like what I send her? What if she doesn't? How can I make sure that this is going to be perfect so that she loves it? And that everybody that sees it loves it, because for some reason, her next door neighbor's opinion matters to me for some reason. Paula, I know. We've had this conversation. I know. So what does that lead to? Anxiety and fear lead to procrastination. ADHD girl. I'm going to put it off. I'm going to keep putting it off. I'm going to keep putting it off. It might lead to over preparing. Okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch this class that I took with my teacher to do this specific thing to make sure that I know what I'm doing. Hey, Mel, even though I've been doing this very thing for a decade, I'm going to go back and rewatch this very basic class to make sure I understand it, make sure I'm doing it right. That's over prepping. Or there's a new tool out there that'll make this little part of it easier for me. So I'm going to go buy that tool and everything that goes with it. I'm going to spend $4,000 on whatever it is to make this easier. Paul is paying me $10. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all over preparation. It's all silly. And what the problem with that is that it becomes then like the process becomes difficult then and not fun. If I am making a piece of jewelry for somebody, that should be fun. It shouldn't be, crying like everything else. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be anxiety. So when I make the piece and I'm finally finished with it, probably late, because let's be honest, I've procrastinated a whole great big bunch. I don't feel a sense of accomplishment. I don't feel proud. What I feel is relief. Thank God that's over. Does that sound familiar? Thank God that's over, and I don't have to ever do that again if I don't want to. And damn it, she better like it because this took me blood, sweat, and tears, you know? And then maybe, what if I then don't get the accolades that I'm looking for from, I don't want to say Paula, but from whoever is getting this item. So let's go back. So sense of relief, no sense of accomplishment. When they do come back to me and they say, oh, this is cute, there's a couple things. First, I'll dismiss that as a fluke or luck, or they have to say that because they're my friend or whatever. Go through all that self-talk. I will probably go so far as to believe that I've actually tricked that person into thinking that I'm talented, that I'm good at what I do. When the whole time I was sweating and I was crying and I was angry because it wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do, like whatever feelings I was feeling aren't gone yet. They're all still there because I haven't dealt with them. I haven't addressed them. And so I've tricked you into thinking that I'm just really good at this, when the fact is I don't feel good about it because I did all this other stuff leading up to it. And I feel these certain kinds of ways. So then what happens? Self-doubt spikes, can't accept any compliments or accolades. And that perpetuates the cycle then, because what did I just do? I proved myself right. See, you were right to be anxious. You were right to be fearful of this project because of what it has cost you, not just financially, but blood, sweat, and tears and time, because time is our most precious commodity. So Paula, and again, I'm using Paula as an example because she has done this. Paula has done videos on TikTok when she's received something from me, either purchased or something I just sent her, showing, this is what my friend Melissa sent me, and isn't this amazing? And she could do backflips over it. She could throw fireworks in the air. It doesn't matter like how over the top she is about being grateful. I'm not hearing it because all I'm thinking about is, thank God that's over. Do you see what I'm saying about the cycle? Like it just keeps going. It just keeps going. So an example for you might be that, despite the fact that you've been doing the same kind of work that you're doing, whether it's work or like journaling or whatever, for over a decade, you've received compliments, you've received accolades, you've received recognition over and over again. You've never heard a negative word, or if you have, it's like one or two people, and chances are good that that's coming from a place of jealousy, though you don't see that. Other people hearing it see it. And you still think that you don't know what you're doing and that you just talk a good game and you're fooling everybody. That is your real skill. Lying is your real skill. It's not right. Like that, like it doesn't add up. It does. Like I can totally rationalize that in my head. I bet all of you can too. If you really tried, you could. That's not right. It is very to the contrary. I agree. Paula. It is helpful to be aware of it. It is. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Mel, we're talking about Karen inspired me this morning. I made some connections to some things that have been happening in my brain. And so we're talking about imposter syndrome. So, so let me give you a personal example because Karen was talking about some of the stuff this morning, and um, I connected it to a way I've been feeling for the last little while. And I'm going to tell you this, and I am not, look me in the eyes. I am not looking for compliments. I am not looking for you to build me up. I'm not. I just want to be honest and transparent and share this with you because um, I want you to see what it can look like from a real person, a real perspective, and one that you may relate to. Stop it. Stop. Um, okay. So in the last little while, couple weeks, two-ish, week and a half, I've been feeling like I don't belong anywhere and that I don't add anything positive to the community despite what I have done. Okay. And when I talk about the community, I mean the um, the junk journal community on TikTok, here, everywhere else. Yes, Mel, and that's why I haven't been showing up. That's why I haven't been here. 100%. Thanks for calling me out on that. Do I have proof to the contrary? Sure do. I have over 150 members here on Patreon. Free, but over 150 people who care enough about what I have to say to subscribe to hear from me. I have thousands of followers on TikTok. Same thing, who like what I do and like to hear what I have to say. I have followers on Whatnot. I have followers on Insta. I have followers everywhere. I have a local Facebook group for junk journalers of people who enjoy what I have to say and what we do. There is plenty of hard evidence. And yet, yesterday, especially and day before, I still woke up going, I don't belong anywhere. Like, I am just a visitor everywhere. And what I mean by that is people are not unhappy if I pop into a live or, make a comment on something they've done or whatever. But I am not an integral part of the community. I'm not somebody that people go looking for. If I pop up, it's fine. But you don't go looking for me. Now, again, I'm not asking you to tell me that you do. This is all up here. And part of that came from all of the conversations happening about Little Craft Fest, because I really didn't belong in there. I didn't go. Not only didn't I go, but I kind of didn't have a lot of interest in it. I saw it very much as you want me to buy a flight, get a hotel, pay to get in, to buy stuff from vendors who are listed on their website already, and I could just go to their website and buy their stuff and save a crap ton of money. Not my jam. And if you did go or you wanted to go, like, I am not criticizing. I'm just saying how I felt about it. And I thought yesterday, I was like, oh, we're finally done talking about this. Thank God, because I'm so tired of hearing about it. I'm so tired of feeling out of the group. And I visited somebody's live who I hadn't talked to in a long time on TikTok. And it was just she and I for a little bit. And then a couple other people came on, and that was the first thing that came up. They all started talking about that. And I was like, Mel, because I can't add to that conversation. And it actually makes me feel less than to sit here and listen to it. Not that that was their intention. That's all up here. But I hope you understand that that is part of the imposter syndrome thing that lives up here for me. And it's normal, unfortunately, in my world. Is it like okay? No, but it's fairly normal. Yeah, and Mel's absolutely right. I stopped showing up everywhere, not just here, not just like literally everywhere. Um, I haven't been talking to several of my really good friends. I haven't been talking to them regularly like they normally do. Um, my friend Karen that I mentioned earlier, we text every day. I haven't talked to her in probably a week. Why? Because she's one of those people who will call me on my bullshit. She's one of those people who will, if I say something or acknowledge how I'm feeling, she will call me on it and she will be there to provide the receipts on why I'm wrong. Not in a mean way, in a very supportive way, but she's not going to have it. So I just don't, I'm just quiet. I don't say anything. Not healthy, not healthy. So there is hope. um, Here's the thing. At some point, we have to say, okay, great, we have all this knowledge, we know all this. How do we deal with it? How do we get past it? And these are conversations that I've had with people in the past. Paul and I have talked about this. Um, Mel and I have talked about this. There are several people that we've had these conversations about what can you do, you know? So you're probably not going to like my answers because they're not easy. They're not easy. And it takes active participation to make it go away. It takes your active participation. So the first thing is self-compassion. Change your self-talk. Speak to yourself as if you're speaking to your best friend. Would you tell your best friend that they were using the right recipes and that's the only reason their meal was good? Of course not. You would tell her the exact opposite of that. I would hope. If you wouldn't, you're not a very good friend. Just saying. If you would say it's just the recipes, unless you're kidding and that's a jokey thing between you, you're not a good friend. Um, Self-talk is really hard for me. And I'm not just talking about like the ongoing conversation that's in my head all the time because I'm ADHD. I didn't realize that there are people that don't constantly have conversations running in their head with themselves. Like I really did not know that until recently when somebody who's neurodivergent said, I don't have that. Like, what do you mean? I don't have a conversation in my head. I don't have a voice in my head all the time about everything. Huh? How? Teach me your ways because I'd like to shut that bitch up, to be honest with you. But if you can change it, if you can change it to a positive self-talk, then at least it's not negative. You know what I mean? Um, I am not a rainbows and sunshine all the time kind of girl. And if you know me well, you know this about me. Um, I am dubious about things. I question things. Now, when it comes to my friends, I am the biggest cheerleader when it comes to my friends. But when it comes to myself, I'm always questioning. If I could change that, a mantra might be I deserve the good that comes to me. Everyone deserves good. And people who my brain is saying, well, not everybody, because serial killers don't deserve the best of everything. Okay, but roll that back and think about why they are the way they are. They were probably mistreated as children. Not that that's giving them an excuse. I'm not saying, you had a sucky childhood, so go do what you will. No, but what I'm saying is, um, things happened to them that were so horrific, and early on, they never were able to get past it. They weren't given the skills, or maybe they just weren't born with the skills to understand or move past the negativity. Not all of us are. Not all of us are equipped for that. Um, I've had to learn it, not, I haven't had to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've had to learn how to be kind to myself, and that it's okay to be kind to myself. Not that I have to be humble all the time. I mean, I am humble, but there's a difference between being humble and not acknowledging that you do have gifts and you do have strengths. You're allowed to do that. You should do that. So, self-compassion. Um, the next thing, you want to separate your feelings from facts. And the way you can do that is journaling, right? Look at your own track record. Think about, and it needs to be in terms of what you're stuck on in terms of imposter syndrome. So if you are thinking to yourself, I don't deserve people buying my stuff in my Etsy shop, they're just doing it because they want to be nice. They don't really want my stuff. I'll get out of your head now, Paula. Um, Look at your track record. Go back and look. How many sales have you made? How much money have you made? Um, Reflect on accolades and compliments if you need to. I've done this. I don't care if this makes me sound like a sad person. I have gone back and watched videos on TikTok of people opening things that I've sent them, be them that they've purchased or that I've sent them as a gift or whatever, to hear them go gaga over it, because I need to hear that sometimes. I need that buildup sometimes. So those are facts, though. When I go and look at those, when I go and watch those are facts. Those are not people, um, they're not lying. They have no reason to lie. They're not stretching the truth. They're not, you know what I'm saying? They're not blowing sunshine up my butt. Those are real, honest reactions. And so those are facts that I need to go and reflect on. Um, Something that I learned today that some people do in order to get rid of this issue, they track their competency, they track their evidence. So, in other words, when they're feeling a certain kind of way about something, like, you know, um, those 14 sales on Etsy I made yesterday, or the fact that I sold out all of my charms or whatever it is, um, that was just a fluke. That was just luck. Instead, reframe it, because you have proof there. People don't spend their hard-earned cash just to make you feel good. Okay? Not in this economy, at least. I don't. So don't ignore that stuff. Track it, write it down, put it in your journal. Have a special journal for, like I have my mental health journal. Have a special journal where you track accolades like that, so that you have proof that you can go and look at. You have a record to go and look at when you're doubting yourself, or when somebody's doubting you, you know? Um, and a mantra that would go along with that is that all external evidence proves my competency. And you have it if you've tracked it, it's right there. Next, remember back when I was talking earlier about how we frame our success? It's not really success, it was luck. Reframe luck. It's not luck, it's preparation. Luck would be if you literally had no idea what you were doing. You got up on a stage and you did the thing with no experience, no training, no nothing. And everybody went crazy and thought you were the most amazing thing. That's luck. Most people can't just get up and do something they've never done before, haven't seen a video about, or whatever, right? That's luck. When you succeed, you need to actively remind yourself that your hard work and knowledge is what got you there. Now, I'm going to stop there for a second because hard work is hard for me. Because when I think of like making something that I'm selling, is that really hard work? If I'm enjoying the process, if it's partially my hobby, is that hard work? If I'm so good now at soldering that I can do 100 pieces in a week, is that hard work? Maybe not anymore, but to get there certainly was. To learn it all and to practice was hard work. So sometimes your hard work isn't right now. Sometimes your hard work was in the past, but it was still hard work, you know? So acknowledge that. Acknowledge that your experience and your knowledge got you here. Not that you were lucky, not that it was a fluke, but that you know what you're doing and you have proof. So a mantra for that might be my experience and knowledge are useful and valid. That might be, something that you say to yourself in the mirror. Another way to deal with it is talk about it. Okay. So I alluded to this earlier. I don't mean doing what I'm doing necessarily. Like, you don't have to go live and share all your deep, dark secrets. Nobody's saying that. But voice your insecurities to trusted peers or mentors because chances are they felt the same way. In fact, even some of the biggest creators not only have felt that way, but still go through it often. Because it never really goes away until you fully work on yourself and are able to confront your own trauma and figure out where all of this comes from and address it. It's not going to go away completely. There's always going to be a little bit of it. So you may as well embrace that and just learn. Hey, Bevan. And talking about it is one of the best ways to start to understand it. Bevan, it's funny that you come in right at this moment because Bevan has been facilitating for a while now these semi weekly chats for a handful of us, me and Paul and some others. And it's been terrifically healing to hear some of these creators that I've put on giant old pedestals say, yeah, I've been there. I've felt that. Or I made this mistake and I feel like a real jerk. Like, I'm not the only one. That's amazing. And now I feel like less of a jerk because you feel like a jerk too, you know? Um, it's been very empowering. I've really enjoyed those conversations. Mel, I get it. I do. Um, and part of that I think is you have to get to a point where you understand, oh, this is what this is, and this is probably where it's coming from. Um, so many people don't even understand what imposter syndrome is. And so you can't identify, if you don't know what it is, you can't identify when you're feeling it. If you can't identify when you're feeling it, you certainly can't confront it or talk about it, right? So, I mean, it's a cycle. Like it gets there when it gets there. But when you get to that point, when you're able to talk about it, not incessantly, but that goes back to the asking for help. This is another thing that's hard for me. Normalize being new, new in an environment, new at doing something, um, whatever new means to you, because feeling out of place when you're new at something is a natural response. It's not a sign of ineptitude. When you first started junk journaling, when you made your first journal, or maybe you haven't made one yet, maybe it was just, you did your first spread in a notebook, whatever. Did you give yourself grace when you were doing it? Did you say, okay, this is new to me and I'm not really sure like what's the right way to do it, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go with it and do it? Or did you go, and freak out? Um, Feeling new at something, trying something new, Yvette, I've been that girl. I was gonna say I've been there. I am currently there. Like I just have so much stuff and I have intentions for all of it, big plans for everything, and yet haven't done it. Why? Fear. Fear. Fear that somebody's going to judge me. And why? If they're going to judge me, that's not my issue. And that's a reflection of them, not on me. You know? So feeling out of place when you're starting something new is very, very normal. And there is discomfort. And let me say this loud and proud: discomfort equals growth, and growth is good. Discomfort equals growth, and growth is good. I agree, Bevan. I mean, we've had that conversation kind of. Yeah. Sometimes I hold people to a standard higher than I would ever hold myself to, which isn't fair. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I think that if you're X, you must be Y too. I don't know. Or, well, I mean, to be fair, I do hold myself to perfection sometimes. And so maybe that's why I expect it from other people sometimes. I've gotten a lot better about that, mind you, but it's definitely something. It's definitely there. And it's hard when you look up to somebody. It's hard to be hit with the reality that they are human too, and they will make mistakes. And yeah, and they only show a part of themselves too. So you have this, I have this in my head, like this person is always this way. And if they show themselves to not always be that way, then that's a flaw, a personality flaw. That's not fair. It's not really a personality flaw. It's human. It's being human. But because I hold myself to a certain level of perfectionism, I don't see it that way because I could never give myself that grace. I could never say, you're human, it's okay, about myself. Never. Never. But that's where we need to be, right? That's how we need to be treating ourselves. And then when we learn to treat ourselves that way, it's easier to treat other people that way as well. So, a mantra for normalizing newness. Do you give a quick? Explain more. Like on what? On people? On something I'm doing? Give me more. Give me more. So mantra might be, this is new to me, so it may take me a while to catch on, but I know I will figure it out because I always do. You know, um, my history tells me that when I want something badly enough, if I want to do something badly enough, if I want to learn something badly enough, I will. I will do it. Oh, it depends. I used to. I used to be very much a person that went, well, it didn't work the first time. I guess I'm horrible, and I chuck it. Now I've taught myself, and through therapy as well, to say, I'm going to walk away from this for a bit and think about it, research it, process it, and I'll come back to it. Do I always go back to it? Honestly, no, but that's my ADHD. That has nothing to do with my own feelings about myself, if that makes sense. I just bop on to the next thing because that's what I do anyway. Even if I'm really good at something, like I'm really good at soldering, I'm very good at making jewelry. I haven't made any in a couple of years now, mostly because of my hand, but also because I just kind of got bored with it. Like it wasn't challenging anymore. And so I moved on. I'll go back to it eventually, but you know, but I used to. I used to give up on things very easily. I don't anymore. But that took learning. It took time and it took learning. All right. So what happens when failure does occur? Because failure does happen. First of all, don't take it on as a personal identity. Okay. You are not a failure because you made a mistake. Okay. Your life does not equate to failure because you made one mistake one time or 10 mistakes 10 times. The failure would be sitting in that and living in that and not moving on. What you do is you reflect on it, you look at it and you go, okay, so this is what happened. I made this decision. It was not the best decision. Learn from it, research, figure out what you're going to do next time, how you're going to do it better, or if you're not going to do it, maybe it's something that you're going to go, no, that was a bad idea and I'm just not going to do it. And that's okay as long as that's an informed decision and not just a out, but more of a, I've tried this several times. It's just not working the way I wanted to. And I'm losing interest because I'm getting frustrated. Like those are all different things than just like trying once and leaving. So you reflect, you learn, you figure out how to do it better, and you move on. And hopefully you do it better next time. Or you choose to not do it. And it's something that you're not loving, and that's okay. The mantra there is I made a mistake because I'm still learning. It's okay to acknowledge that you're still learning something. It's okay to acknowledge that you're not perfect. And I say that fully in my chest, knowing that I expect perfection for myself all the time in everything. And it's so unfair. It's so unfair. There's no way that I can ever get to the level that I expect myself to get to, ever. But that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? So if I say, I need to be way up here, I have to be up here all the time, and I'm only ever here, then I get to say, well, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get there. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not whatever enough. I'm not enough, period. It's self-fulfilling, which is not exactly positive, is it? It's kind of sad, depressing. So I hope this has helped. Um, if anything, I hope that it has helped you identify whether or not you deal with any of this imposter syndrome stuff. And if you do, I hope that you've gotten some ideas on how to deal with it, or at least some ideas on like, oh, when I do this, that's what this is. I hope you internalize um, some of this so that next time it occurs, you don't sit there and dwell on it and believe it. You're actually able to think back, oh, hey. But when Melissa talked about perfectionism, or Melissa talked about not asking for help, I learned that that is because this is what my brain is telling me, or this, whatever. And here are some ways that I can get past that. I'm sorry if it's been like, this is so sad. I don't mean it to be. I feel so passionate about this right now because I've been going through it that I know other people are feeling similarly or have. So, all right. So now I'm going to take this off the stand and I'm going to show you. First of all, I'm going to show you my room because so many of you all the time are like, oh, my room's a mess. And you think mine is always perfect and clean and organized. And, some of it is, but sometimes it looks like this. The crap on the floor. I'm still in the middle of putting things away. Not in the middle. I'm getting to the point where I'm done, but I keep bringing stuff up from the basement and finding new things to put away, which means I need to find new places to put them. But I have been avoiding decorating because I didn't think I deserved a pretty space until everything was put away. And so I changed my mind about that this weekend and I started decorating. So I've added all sorts of stuff that makes me happy, a lot of art from friends. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, but Dove chocolates used to have little messages on the inside. And this one, my friend Lisa sent to me. She was a teacher across the hall from me, and she knew I had chocolate in my room. So she'd send a kid over with a note asking for chocolate, and I'd send her chocolate. And one day she sent a kid back with this because I was going through the process of trying to become a principal. And we had a really crappy principal at the time. And I was really, really frustrated. And she sent that to me. If they can do it, you can. And I've kept it ever since because that's something I need to remember in everything. So anyway, I just wanted to show you, like I was decorating. The bottom two shelves, especially this one, are things I use frequently. My glues and stuff are down there. This piece, my cats. So here's me. I know. And that's what I want it to be. I don't want it to be this showroom of, look at the cool stuff I have. I mean, it is, but I needed it to be about me. So this is all cat stuff because I'm a big fan of cats, mostly black cats. So this is all cat. It's not all the cat stuff, but it's, some of it. I have a thing about collecting dress forms. So this is one of my antique dress forms, and she's wearing a vintage peignoir, and she's wearing all sorts of jewelry, and she's got a cowboy hat on, but she's got a crown on because I collect crowns as well. That is all stuff. It's all stuff that's me. I collect the letter M for my name. I collect things that have my name. A lot of this too is stuff that friends have given me or made for me. There's my whiteboard. You see, I added the tinsel garland and pink lights. I'm actually going to put pink lights all over the place. I've got my ridiculous critters, all my favorites. And then, see, still a mess. It's all a mess. It is what it is. My husband put up the last of the shelves for me this week. So there's that one. You saw me post this one. The Kallaxes. This is all stuff that still needs to go on the wall. That needs to go out in the living room. But here's where I'm going to show my weird. So I've been a Barbie fan since I was a little girl, and it started with Donnie Marie. I love Donnie Marie, and so my grandma gave me a Donnie and Marie doll, not a Donnie. She got me the Donnie Marie dolls when I was little, and these are not mine. Mine are long gone, but not too terribly long ago, about a year ago, I decided to start collecting things that make me happy. One of those things is Barbie stuff. I still have a hefty chunk of Barbie stuff from when I was a little girl, but there were things that I wanted that I didn't have anymore, so I decided to just collect them. So that's Cher right there in the middle. Um, she came in a box of other things that I bought, and I was so excited. I just found her last night, and I was so excited because now, if you know, you know. If you've seen Will and Grace, I totally want to take Cher. Like, I want to get her different outfits, and I want to take her around with me, and be like, "I'm Cher," oh, like Jack. Anyway, because I'm a dork. So these are all like collections, and this is me being me. This is me being me, 100% with my Barbie. This is nothing. Okay, this is the tip of the iceberg. I don't have room to take it all out yet. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because for the longest time, I was embarrassed to be who I truly am. Oh, wait, I'll show you up there. Hold on. So there's the top of the shelf. See my pink sparkly kitty? Yeah, so for the longest time, I was afraid to be my actual self around people. And now let's flip that. And what that meant was that I wouldn't have talked about Barbie. I wouldn't have put this kind of stuff out in my room. I would have made my room more of a show. I'm trying to get like the ring light out of my glass. I'm just gonna turn it off because it's bugging me. I would have made my room more of a show place that people would have come in and gone, "Oh wow, it's so cool. I wish I had a room like this," because that made me feel good, right? It gave me positive endorphins because somebody liked my space. But it's false. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and this is the big realization that I had today. At the end of the day, all the accolades, all the compliments, all the people saying how great, wonderful, whatever you are, they don't matter. They don't. I mean, they're your evidence that you're doing well, if that's the evidence you need, but you can't rely on those because they disappear sometimes for one reason or another. So, my big realization today, which to many of you may seem like duh, was that I really need to spend more time looking internally for joy. I need to spend more time looking internally for um, feedback on what I do. Does that make sense? So instead of saying, "Hey, what do you think about that paper pack?" What I should be doing is saying, and what I want to be doing is looking at this stuff and saying to myself, "I'm really proud of myself because this was a stretch for me. This was hard, and I totally taught myself how to do this, and I really like it. And the fact that people are buying it is great, but I would be happy with this for just my own use. I don't have to put it out there to be sold, to be validated." That's where I want to get. That's not an easy place to be. Not easy to get there. But I definitely think it's worth the effort because once you get to a point where you're able to just be happy within yourself without needing any external feedback, that's true happiness. That's true success because success doesn't mean the same thing to everybody, you know? Success may be a dollar amount to some people, and to other people, it's whether or not they're happy doing what they're doing. There's so many ways to identify success, and I don't identify it money wise. I just don't. Right now, success for me is how much do people like what I do, and that's not a very good barometer because I don't know. There's no way to know 100% what people really think. So it needs to come from an internal place. And that's what got me to all of this today. So thanks, Paula. All right, guys. That that's it. As if it was short. Um, Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I will repost this here if you missed any of it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and post it on TikTok as well, because I think it's a message that should be heard by everybody. I appreciate you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate when you guys show up and show out. Um, and I'm promising you that I'm coming back, that I'm going to start to show up and show out too, and stop worrying so much about what reactions are going to be. I need to get back on TikTok. I need to get back to doing, I need to get back to being who I am, my most authentic self. So I hope you'll stick around. All right, guys, have a great night. Thanks again.